Welcome to Dark Whispers, where shadows reveal the most haunting tales. Tonight, join us as we uncover the dark secrets of Grimwood Cemetery, a place of whispers and chilling silence. In the heart of America, where the wild forests stretch endlessly under the weight of history, there existed a place few dared to enter. Grimwood Cemetery, shrouded in mystery and wrapped in dark rumors. The cemetery had long been abandoned at its once pristine gravestones now swallowed by creeping ivy and time itself. Yet, despite its desolate appearance, it was infamous among the locals for strange, inexplicable events. Fires that sparked on their own, shadows that moved even without a whisper of wind, and a strange silence that lingered, pressing down on the land like a secret too heavy to bear. For years, the people of the nearby town spoke of the cemetery in hushed tones, crossing themselves when they mentioned its name. The three adventurous friends Alex, Gwen, and Zoe were not like the others. To them, Grimwood wasn't a place to fear. It was a puzzle to be solved. Alex, the historian, had always been fascinated by forgotten stories, especially ones involving the supernatural. When, the skeptic, believed every myth could be rationalized if only you looked hard enough. And Zoe, the most curious of them all, felt a deep, almost magnetic pull towards the unknown. She was the one who suggested the idea that fateful summer. What if we uncovered the truth behind Grimwood Cemetery? The stormy night they chose to venture there felt like fate itself was guiding them. The wind howled like a distant wail, rattling the windows of the old houses as they made their way down the overgrown path toward the graveyard. The trees around them creaked and moaned in the wind, casting twisted shadows under the dim light of their flashlights. When they arrived, the cemetery felt even more foreboding than they had imagined. Gravestones tilted at odd angles, some half submerged in the earth, others completely toppled. The air smelled of decay, and an unnatural quiet hung in the air, as though the land itself was holding its breath. Zoe shivered, but it wasn't from the cold. "Something doesn't feel right," she muttered, her eyes scanning the area for any movement. Alex, ever the academic, brushed it off. "It's just superstition. There's nothing here we can explain." But even Ben, the skeptic, couldn't hide the uneasy look in his eyes as he glanced over his shoulder. As they walked deeper into the cemetery, Zoe noticed something unusual: a crypt at the far end, almost completely hidden by the dense fog. It looked different from the others. The stone was smooth, undisturbed by time, with strange symbols carved into its surface, symbols none of them could recognize. They were unlike anything from any known culture. "That's odd," Zoe said, moving closer. "Maybe it's just a family tomb, something old and forgotten," Ben suggested, though his voice lacked its usual conviction. But Zoe was already pulling at the thick vines that had sealed the entrance. After a moment's hesitation, Alex and Ben joined her, and together they managed to pry the stone door open, revealing an underground chamber. A rush of stale air filled their lungs, and a sense of dread crept over them. The chamber was untouched by time, like a forgotten world frozen in place. Dust-covered relics lay scattered around the room, and in the center, a small wooden box gleamed faintly in the darkness. Beside it lay a journal, its pages yellowed and brittle. Alex's fingers trembled as he picked up the journal and began to read aloud. The words were strange, written in a language that felt older than the town itself. As he deciphered the cryptic passages, the chilling truth began to unfold. The cemetery was not merely a resting place, it was the prison of restless spirits, bound by a curse. The caretakers of this cemetery, long dead and forgotten, had performed a dark ritual in an attempt to control the souls they buried. But their greed had led to their downfall, and the curse had trapped the spirits within the cemetery grounds for eternity. The box, as the journal described, contained the key to breaking the cursey powerful amulet capable of releasing the souls and restoring peace to Grimwood. But it was gone, taken long ago, leaving behind only torment and unrest. Determined to uncover the truth and put an end to the horror, the trio set out into the dense forest, following the journal's cryptic clues. As they ventured deeper, the trees seemed to close in around them, and the oppressive atmosphere grew thicker with each step. The journey was far from easy. Strange occurrences followed them. A snap of a twig would echo like a scream. The moon seemed to shift unnaturally, casting long shadows that danced just out of their reach. On the fourth day, when they were on the brink of losing hope, they stumbled upon an old cabin, half buried in moss and vines. Inside, they discovered an ancient map, its edges tattered and worn. The map outlined the path to a hidden shrine in the heart of the forest, where the amulet was said to lie. Finally, Ben muttered, though his voice was tinged with exhaustion, "Let's finish this." But reaching the shrine was no simple task. The air around it pulsed with dark energy, and strange shapes flitted between the trees. Watching, seeing waiting, it was as though the forest itself was trying to protect its secret. At last, they found its amulet, gleaming under the light of the full moon. It radiated a strange warmth, as though it had been waiting for them. But the moment Zoe reached out to touch it, the ground beneath their feet trembled, and a low, mournful wail filled the air. They quickly returned to the cemetery, placing the amulet on the altar of the crypt. As they did, the storm that had followed them since their arrival began to dissipate, and the oppressive weight on the land lifted. For the first time in decades, the cemetery was quiet, peaceful. The spirits finally freed whispered their thanks before disappearing into the night. The story of Alex, Ben, and Zoe spread across the country, turning them into folk heroes, symbols of bravery and the pursuit of truth. The once feared Grimwood Cemetery became a place of reverence, where people came not to mourn but to honor the spirits and the three friends who had ended their torment. Yet, even in peace, Grimwood held on to its secret. The memory of that night, of the eerie happenings and the curse that had bound the land for centuries, would forever linger in the hearts of those who dared to seek out the unknown. And for Alex, Ben, and Zoe, the mystery of Grimwood would never fully be solved. It would haunt them always like a shadow that refused to leave. Thank you for joining Dark Whispers. If you crave more spine-chilling stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, sleep tight and beware of the whispers in the dark.